Hi, Dave here, and today we're going to check out the work of Zhang Jing. He's an artist based in Guangzhou, China, and yeah, I think he mostly does 2D paintings, and if ever he'll photo bash sometimes, but I do find his work kind of like a lot of his pieces are kind of clean, right? But you can tell by the silhouettes, they're kind of extended and curved, right? Like you can tell by the again the silhouettes, I guess, or the shape design. He has kind of the same lean whenever he does his shapes or silhouettes. And some pieces are kind of cleaner than others. Some are more kind of photo bashy. Some are just pure paintings, right? Pure 2D paintings. And in a way, he does have a varied kind of style, right? Or he has a varied set of styles, I think. So in a way, he is kind of well-rounded as an artist. So I'm not exactly sure what Teddy Bear Kingdom means, but whatever. So here we have a nice environment concept art. It's more of a keyframe because this guy and this kind of creature thing is dominating the entire canvas or frame. But you can tell by notice in the silhouette of this creature, it's kind of long and then it's kind of curved, right? And you'll see the same kind of shapes all throughout his paintings or designs. It's kind of like a long curve. Like just think of any kind of French curve tool you have. I'm assuming you do some drafting on the side. But he has a lot of these very long curvy types of edges, I guess, in his shapes or silhouettes. Well, this one's a bit different, but I think he did use 3D here, I'm guessing, right? There are people flying, I guess. Maybe they jumped off of a plane and whatever. This one's kind of clean. I think he does, well, based on his tags right here on ArtStation, it just says 2D, but I doubt it. I mean, it can't be just 2D, right? It's a bit too good, right? Maybe. Now it's harder to see the whole long curvy thing because it's obviously more architectural than anything, but yeah, a lot of his work is kind of clean. Like his work is way more presentable. He does have a couple of quick impressionistic kinds of paintings, which I do like the most, but you know, I do find the work like this appealing, right? It's more presentable and it's just, yeah. Here you can see it a bit, even in the frames that he uses, right? The cinematic kind of shot. He likes longer types of stuff, I think. Now this one's again another architectural piece or scenery, right? Environmental piece, excuse me. And he labels these pieces of his as daily practice. So I'm not sure if this is more of a random concept, kind of on the fly, but again, lots of very long shapes or silhouettes, right? Now this one is more another environmental piece. He must be using 3D here. Apparently not. But I do think he does. Right? It's very, very clean. It's hard to see the painting strokes here. So it's kind of sad, but anyway. You'll see more of his 2D painted stuff as we go further along. This one's a bit more photo bash, more clean, right? Now this guy has a very, very long gun. This could be somewhere in the Middle East, maybe, right? Based on the guy's beard. Yeah. I mean, you do see a bit of that brush, the brushiness of it in his kind of robe, cape, clothing, right? And you'll see when he does paint, it's kind of clean, a bit smooth, kind of like a Ki Yang, and he has like one specific project where he renders everything with pretty much a round brush, and it does have a smooth kind of look. Even if you can still see the brush strokes, it does have a very kind of smooth look to it. And Zhang here kind of has the same thing. Here it does get a bit more sketchy, more rough, but you'll see a lot of his work tends to be more of like this cape thing here. Anyway, now this one's more of a keyframe. Fuck. I do like the clouds. It could have been painted, I'm guessing. Again with the cinematic shot. Reminds me a bit of Sparth, the blue design, right? Or the blue lighting and shit. Yeah. Oh, here I think you can see more of that kind of long. Again, he likes pushing the composition to the sides, right? Kind of like in a more longitudinal kind of way. Like they go along with the frame, I guess, right? Very, very smooth, big, swooping strokes overall, composition wise, and even in the designs. You can see here in the branches or trees, even in the ship, right? They tend to be kind of long, right? Here we have a couple of environment shots. Very, very concept arty, right? The levels are right. It feels atmospheric. But for these ones, it's hard to see the paint strokes. It's more clean, photobashed, but it works. Some more environment shots here. It's pretty epic. The color schemes for these specific pieces reminds me of the recent work of Ki Yang, right? Although Ki Yang's recent work is more textured, I think, right? More sharp, more gritty. Zhang Jing's work, for his more finished looking pieces like these ones, they're a bit more smooth, right? And not very gritty in any way. And but both of them do have like a good sense of blendingness. Like a lot of their work, both of their works are well blended, right? Anyway, some more environment shots here of this Raziel project, right? Reminds me a bit of Jordan Grimmer, right? And a nice guy with a horse for scale. But you can tell by the rocks, again, long, very, very long, curvy types of rock forms. Same thing here. Same thing here, right? Very, very long and curvy. Even in these totems or whatever, right? Again, he goes with the composite, with the frame, the cinematic frame, and the composition kind of goes along with that horizontalness, right? I do think the frame you use for your paintings does influence your design, I think. So you have to be kind of aware of that, because you could do it in reverse, where you could start with the design and then frame it, like crop it as you go. But I do think there is an advantage when you set the frame from the beginning, right? I don't know. I think it helps to like having that constraint. I think helps you to save time, and also it can help when it comes to actually designing, say environments, especially scenes or environments, right? Because it can help you more focus on what works, I guess, for a shot, because you're kind of skipping the design and you're kind of taking on the shot, like the narrative of it, plus the design at the same time. So you don't have to design everything. I think that's the point. So yeah. But for this piece, it's a bit clean again, very, very smooth-ish. And notice how all the shapes, like all these silhouettes are, again, the edges are pretty clean. They're not kind of mixing with each other. It's not very impressionistic, it's pretty contained, pretty efficient, I think. Same thing for this guy, right? It's more typical concept art stuff. Clean. Not very impressionistic. Now, here we do see more painting, I guess. Now, this guy could have been Photo Bastian. I think, based on this photo-esqueness of the hand, right? But Zhang does paint over everything anyway, so it's kind of hard to tell, right? But I do like this piece because you can see more of that artistry, right? Even in this kind of backside of this guy. So this one's more of a keyframe. Again, cinematic shot. You can see more of that artfulness in the sky. It's kind of raining and it's kind of shining, or it's kind of daylight on the other side, right? But even if it's kind of impressionistic, right? It's more gestural, like strokes. It's still pretty clean, right? It has that smoothness to it. Reminds me of the brushwork of Shinku Kim for his mechs, right? He likes to use the flat brush, and maybe Zhang used some kind of flat brush as well, I think, right? Because you can see like the edges of the brush strokes. Yeah. But again, the shapes go with the frame of the canvas. Shit, this guy's dead. Now this, again, very, very long, right? Long shape here, curves. He obviously does use layers to help save time, but again, notice how the edges are pretty clean, pretty cut. And his brushwork is pretty smooth. Again, not a lot of texture brushes. If ever there's texture, it's most likely a photo texture. Everything else is just painted in this kind of manner, kind of like John Park. Although John Park's brush strokes tend to have like texture, kind of like a noise texture in them. Zhang is pretty smooth with his stuff, generally speaking, right? A bit here, a bit of texture, but it's so faint. The leveling again is pretty strong, makes sense, very, very atmospheric, right? A bit of hue variety, very, very subtle. You can see some greens, some reds, and this kind of mountain thing, right? Now, this one's pretty cool. I think this one's mostly painted, right? Look at the brushwork here. Very, very, it's not finished, not rendered in any way, but it's clean, right? It's sketchy but clean at the same time. I think what makes it look more presentable is the fact that the edges are pretty cut, kind of like John Park, right? They have the same or a similar kind of approach, I guess. It's more efficient, I think. It gets more chaotic as you go further away from the main subject, and that's obviously this kind of a soldier guard guy, right? Again, the leveling is pretty good here. High contrast in this, or darker with this guy, and then as you go further away, it gets kind of lighter and more vague, right? Again, not a lot of brush variety in his work. Everything is kind of in one color scheme. In this case, it's kind of red, orange, brown, right? Very, very subtle hue variety, you know, but it's not very strong. And even with this guy here, the edges pretty clean. Even if it's not fully rendered, right? Very, very impressionistic within the actual silhouette. Because of that clear cutness of it, it looks kind of finished. And it's cool because it makes you look at this guy and this guy, right? Even in this part right here, in this foreground area, it's not even that clean. It's a bit kind of messy. So it kind of shows you that this is not the main thing. It's obviously going to be this guy and then this guy, right? Same thing here, right? Look at the brushwork. It's pretty clean. I do think he likes to use some kind of flat brush, I think. Just based on, again, the brushwork. The edges of this silhouette, of this figure, is pretty clean. The colors are not that complicated. They're usually, again, under one family. In this piece, it's more, the dominant thing here is the blues, right? but it's kind of like a primary color set where you have the blues, the yellows, and the reds, right? The yellows will be the minimal one, and then the red is kind of the accent kind of color here. You can see it in the fire thing, the reflected lighting, and of course the actual light source here. This could be some kind of lava thing, perhaps, or maybe they're just burning everything. So yeah. But if you look at the brushwork, it feels very efficient, John Park-ish, right? I think Shinku Kim-ish at the same time. I like seeing the greens here in the bottom part, right? I'm guessing it's from the environment off screen, and then the reds obviously are from this fire thing that's happening right now, right? Right, but the edges very, very clean. Look at the highlights here of this kind of arm holding thing. Armrest, fuck. Pretty cool, right? Even in this vehicle, very, very long, curvy forms, right? Same thing for this guy's helmet, the armor, very, very long, curvy forms or edges, right? Same thing for this piece. Now, obviously, I think he did photo bash this face in, right? Same thing for this mini dragon. Very, very long forms or long curves, right? Even in the character, the fabrics, fuck, long, curvy. I feel like this is very, very pulled to the sides, right? It's very, very longitudinal, like the shot. Yeah, I like the shadow here, right? Pretty cool. Amazing. Again, another long shot here. It's more stable, right? It's more peaceful. You can see the brush spacing in some of the parts of the mountain. So I think this is more of a sketch, I think. Like a quick painting. Now this one is more John Park-ish, right? But this one is a bit blended. Think Jordan Grimmer. But yeah, I like the effect. Very cool. Very nice. But it's all under one color hue family. Orange, red, yellow. This one's more of a keyframe. Check out the brushwork, right? Very, very clean. The silhouette is strong. A bit of blending, but it's not that intense. I can see some of that brushwork here. Nice grayscale painting, right? Reminds me a bit of Liang Mark, right? The colors, even the way the silhouettes are done, like the shapes. This one's a bit more realistic though. Liang Mark, I think he likes to exaggerate the edges a bit, right? But again here, it's a bit long, curvy for this water thingy. Now for the shot, it's a bit this could be 16:9 perhaps, maybe. Again, the brushwork isn't even that varied, right? Not a lot of texture. Simple set of brushes, but the hue variety for this tree is pretty intense. The greens, the reds, the blues. Wow, the yellows, right? Even the branches look kind of nice, right? Nice shot here of this kingdom. It's pretty clean, pretty efficient. You can see the bigger brush strokes as you go further back. I think he did use some grass brushes here for the foreground. And look at how these two horsemen, they pop out of the foreground, right? There's more contrast there just because of the orange kind of a grass thing, right? It's kind of warmer on the bottom than it is on top, I guess. Very, very nice, subtle contrast. It's not that strong, but I think if you see this piece from afar, you kind of check out this guy first, and then this guy, and then everything else, I think. Yeah, and again, it's pretty clean, right? Even the rocks look kind of very smooth and very long, right? Same thing here. Here we have more trunks and branches. It's a bit more well, there's a bit of photo bashing here and there for the honey holes or bee holes, beehive kind of holes. But it has a bit of that impressionistic look to it, right? I think he bashed these two things, or these two folks here. The highest contrast would be in this thing, and I'm guessing this is the primary kind of focus, right? The shot is pretty close to 1:1, or the frame rather. He does have, again, different styles. These sketches remind me of there's this artist named his first name starts with an S, and so does his last name. Stjepan. I'm just guessing at this point, but he's a comic book artist that he doesn't do the whole like penciling, inking. He paints his pages with a round brush for the most part, and he's pretty good at it. And I think the anatomy, like the facial proportions, reminds me of that guy. Maybe I'll link his name or his channel in the description below, along with Zhang Jing's ArtStation link. Right? Lots of expressions here. And you can tell by the proportions, it's pretty close to that other guy, right? Not bad, right? Pretty cool. Now this one's pretty epic. This could be like some kind of wallpaper thing. Again, long, curvy. Even this guy's helmet is long, curvy. This guy's armor is long, curvy, right? Very, very swooping, smooth swooping strokes, right? Even in this part right here, right? This kind of thingy. Smooth swooping strokes. Now this one has way more life in it, I feel. Like it feels alive, right? I think it's because of the lighting. The most dominant color here would be the yellows or oranges, right? Looks pretty epic. But again, the silhouettes, like the edges of it, very, very cut, very, very clean. Even if the interiors of that shape is kind of simplified, you can tell by this character or in these kinds of figures, it still has that finished kind of look, right? Just because of the edges. Excuse me. Here we have some kind of a Raziel concept art. Skeletons. Yep. Oh, these are the impressionistic ones or sketches, right? I do like the energy of it. A bit of photo bashing here and there. It feels more lively. It's kind of my personal thing. Way more brush variety here. He's obviously using bigger brush strokes in the background. And yeah, it's still pretty much a cinematic kind of shot. It's more of a keyframe, right? But yeah, pretty awesome. Same thing for this guy, I think. Oh yes. The background's super, super vague and impressionistic, right? And I do like this look more, I think, for me. But he doesn't have a lot of these kinds of quick paintings, right? But he could do them, right, if he wanted to. But again, it's more of like this guy, more of like this, clean, efficient, clean, with a bit of photo bashing, right? Kind of like this as well. But yeah, so here we have some character designs, right? Nice highlights here in this kind of wand. I think it's called shit. It's called a staff. Fuck me. It's called a staff, bro. Nice. Reminds me a bit of the designs of Milan Nikolic, right? A bit, just a bit. Now, obviously, these figures here are a bit more humanoid, and but the face designs or head designs do remind me of Milan Nikolic's creature designs, right? This one's more of an elf, I think, cleaner. It's a bit more brushy, but it's a bit tight again. And I do like how the robe kind of sits on top of this sword, right? It looks more realistic. That's a nice detail there. These are for the Endless Loop project. Now these two are a bit more rendered, right? They're a bit tighter. You can still see that artistry a bit in the bottom, right? The kind of vagueness a bit, but it does get very, very realistic in the face, the head designs, the armor on top. Right, the lighting is pretty strong, or pretty realistic. Yeah, so that's it for this art review of Zhang Jing. You can follow him on ArtStation, and yeah, these are obviously my favorites just because the energy of it is kind of my thing. But this one, this is pretty cool. And this one, they kind of speak to me as well. So yeah, keep training, keep painting, keep learning, and stay free.